Q6381. With respect to day cross-country experience requirements, a private pilot airplane applicant must have a minimum of A. 3 hours, dual and 5 hours, solo. B. 3 hours, dual and 10 hours, solo. C. 5 hours, dual and 10 hours, solo. The correct answer is A. A private pilot airplane applicant must have a minimum of 3 hours of dual instruction and 5 hours of solo flight time to meet the day cross-country experience requirements. For a private pilot airplane applicant, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, mandates a specific amount of flight time as part of the day cross-country experience requirements. The correct option A states that the applicant must have a minimum of 3 hours of dual instruction and 5 hours of solo flight time to fulfill these requirements. The dual instruction refers to flight time with an instructor on board, where the applicant receives guidance, supervision, and instruction during the flights. The 3 hours of dual instruction help the applicant develop essential skills and knowledge necessary for safe day cross-country flying. In addition to the dual instruction, the applicant must also accumulate 5 hours of solo flight time. Solo flight time refers to the flights conducted by the applicant without an instructor on board. This solo flight time allows the applicant to gain experience, confidence, and proficiency in navigating and operating the aircraft during day cross-country flights. By meeting the minimum requirement of 3 hours of dual instruction and 5 hours of solo flight time, the private pilot airplane applicant demonstrates competence and readiness for day cross-country flights. These flight experiences contribute to the development of their navigation, communication, decision-making, and situational awareness skills, ensuring they are well prepared to handle the demands of day cross-country flying. 7314. Can any of a private pilot's airplane flight training apply to meet requirements for adding a helicopter rating? A. Yes. All the dual airplane time applies to the helicopter experience requirements. B. No. All the dual experience requirements must be accomplished in the helicopter. C. Some of the airplane training will apply to the helicopter experience requirements. The correct answer is C. Some of the airplane training will apply to the helicopter experience requirements when adding a helicopter rating to a private pilot's license. When a private pilot with an airplane rating intends to add a helicopter rating to their license, the training they have received in airplanes can be partially applied to meet the experience requirements for helicopters. Option C correctly states that some of the airplane training will be applicable to the helicopter experience requirements. While the exact amount of credit that can be applied may vary based on regulatory guidelines and the specific requirements of the helicopter rating, it is generally recognized that certain aspects of the training received in airplanes can be beneficial and relevant when transitioning to helicopters. This allows for a smoother integration of skills and knowledge between the two aircraft types. However, it is important to note that not all of the airplane training will automatically transfer over to the helicopter experience requirements. Certain aspects specific to helicopter operations, such as handling helicopter controls, understanding rotorcraft systems, and acquiring proficiency in helicopter maneuvers, will need to be completed separately in the helicopter itself. In summary, while some of the airplane flight training can be credited towards the helicopter experience requirements, a portion of the helicopter training will still be necessary to acquire the specific skills and knowledge required for operating helicopters. 7314-1. Your student holds a private pilot certificate with an airplane rating and wishes to obtain a rotorcraft category rating. You inform the student that A. None of the training/flight experience obtained toward the airplane rating can be used for the rotorcraft rating. B. She must complete the rotorcraft practical test in its entirety as per the private pilot rotorcraft practical test standards. C. Some of the training/flight experience acquired toward the airplane rating can be used to meet the requirements for a rotorcraft category rating. The correct answer is C. Some of the training/flight experience acquired toward the airplane rating can be used to meet the requirements for obtaining a rotorcraft category rating. When a student holds a private pilot certificate with an airplane rating and intends to obtain a rotorcraft category rating, they can benefit from the training and flight experience they have acquired during their airplane rating. Option C correctly states that some of the training/flight experience obtained toward the airplane rating can be used to meet the requirements for a rotorcraft category rating. While the exact amount of credit that can be applied may vary based on regulatory guidelines and the specific requirements for the rotorcraft rating, certain aspects of the training and flight experience gained in airplanes can be considered relevant and applicable to rotorcraft operations. This recognition allows for a more efficient transition and utilization of skills and knowledge between the two aircraft categories. However, it is important to note that not all of the training or flight experience obtained for the airplane rating will automatically transfer to the rotorcraft rating. There will still be specific training and requirements that must be completed in order to demonstrate proficiency and competence in rotorcraft operations. This may include specific flight maneuvers, procedures, and systems unique to rotorcraft. In summary, while some of the training and flight experience acquired for the airplane rating can be used toward meeting the requirements for a rotorcraft category rating, additional training and testing specific to rotorcraft will also be necessary. 7315. A student has a private pilot certificate with an airplane rating. Does he need to fulfill all the experience requirements for an initial private pilot certificate with a helicopter rating to add a helicopter rating to his existing pilot certificate? A. Yes, all aeronautical experience requirements must be accomplished in a helicopter. B. No, some of the dual and solo airplane flight training experience will apply towards the helicopter requirements. C. No, some of the dual flight training experience will apply towards the helicopter requirements. The correct answer is C. No, some of the dual flight training experience will apply towards the helicopter requirements when adding a helicopter rating to a private pilot certificate with an airplane rating. When a student holds a private pilot certificate with an airplane rating and wishes to add a helicopter rating to their existing pilot certificate, they do not need to fulfill all the experience requirements from scratch. Option C correctly states that some of the dual flight training experience from the airplane rating can be applied towards the helicopter requirements. While the exact amount of credit that can be transferred may vary based on regulatory guidelines and specific requirements for the helicopter rating, certain aspects of the dual flight training received for the airplane rating can be deemed applicable to helicopter training. This recognition allows for a streamlined process, avoiding the need to repeat certain training elements already accomplished during the airplane rating. However, it's important to note that not all of the airplane flight training will automatically apply to the helicopter rating requirements. The student will still need to complete specific training and fulfill requirements specific to helicopter operations, such as handling helicopter controls, understanding rotorcraft systems, and acquiring proficiency in helicopter maneuvers. In summary, while some of the dual flight training experience from the airplane rating can be credited towards the helicopter requirements, the student will still need to complete additional training and fulfill specific helicopter rating requirements to demonstrate proficiency and competence in helicopter operations. 7315-1. A foreign national received flight training and completed solo flights outside the U.S. and comes to you to complete flight training and obtain a private pilot certificate. As a CFI, you know that? A. You can continue with the student, endorsing the 14 CFR Part 61 requirements once they have been met. B. The student will to complete all required flight training in the U. C. You can endorse the student for the practical exam upon completion of flight training, and the student will have a limitation on the certificate indicating it was issued based on training provided by a non-FAA CFI. The correct answer is A. As a Certified Flight Instructor, CFI, you can continue with the student and endorse the 14 CFR Part 61 requirements once they have been met. When a foreign national who has received flight training and completed solo flights outside the United States approaches you as a CFI to complete flight training and obtain a private pilot certificate, you are able to continue working with the student. Option A correctly states that you can endorse the 14 CFR Part 61 requirements once the student has met them. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, allows CFIs to provide flight training and endorse the necessary requirements for individuals seeking a private pilot certificate, even if they have received prior flight training outside the United States. As long as the student meets all the requirements outlined in 14 CFR Part 61, you, as a CFI, can endorse their progress and completion of the necessary training. It is important to note that the specific training requirements outlined in 14 CFR Part 61 must still be met, regardless of the student's prior flight training experience. As a CFI, you will guide the student through the remaining training and ensure they fulfill all the necessary criteria to demonstrate their competence and proficiency as a private pilot. In summary, as a CFI, you can continue working with the foreign national student, endorsing the 14 CFR Part 61 requirements once they have been satisfactorily completed. This allows the student to progress toward obtaining their private pilot certificate under your guidance and instruction.